Tonight's campaign team of Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia fights off claims he betrayed his boss, President Akufo-Addo, following a raft of promises he outlined this week to undo some of Akufo-Addo's policies.
Because of electoral votes today, Bawumia wants to abandon Akufo-Addo, stigmatizing, ostracizing. Really?
The NDC attempts to create a wedge between President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Bawumia by saying that Bawumia has betrayed Akufo-Addo. Bawumia has taken himself out. They are all lies.
Also tonight, the imminent ministerial reshuffle. As Joy News learns, the president is set to shake up his appointees, including CEOs of state enterprises, ministers, and even the majority leadership in parliament.
So we are CEO, we are deputy, we are MMDC. Now say we shall fully ndro so now wow trust now hwe no abra fadwuma no eto member party no.
It is time for a change.
Leader Haruna Iddrisu, who has been reacting to this imminent reshuffle with a dig at the president.
If Akufo-Addo ever reshuffles, then probably he's yielding to pressure from his party, because he himself has always said that he doesn't believe in reshuffle.
Well, this is Top Story, always brought to you by Vodafone. Further together. Tonight, did Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia betray his boss, President Akufo-Addo? Well, the campaign team of the Vice President are tonight on the defensive after the key opposition NDC figures questioned his loyalty to the president. The MPP flag bearer had announced a raft of policies he intends to pursue if he is elected president. Many of his proposals will undo some of the key interventions and policy positions of the Akufo-Addo government. It includes the abolition of the e-levy next year, if he is elected. The opposition NDC had attacked the vice president for abandoning his boss. Now listen to National Communications Officer of the NDC, Sammy Gyamfi.
If the president takes a decision, that decision binds the vice president. Then Bawumia should not even have agreed to be the running mate of. By agreeing to be the running mate of somebody and being on the same ticket of that person, it means that you are submitting to the vision and leadership of that person. His successes are your successes. His failures are your failures. This is simple. What can they understand about this? Because of electoral votes today, Bawumia wants to abandon Akufo-Addo, stigmatizing, ostracizing. Really? Really? Has he forgotten that it was Akufo-Addo who picked him from a place of oblivion and brought him into prominence? Has he forgotten what Akufo-Addo has done for him?
I mean,
Akufo-Addo told Ghanaians that the sole reason why he made him running mate was because he was a renowned economist who had the magic wand to transform the economy. When Akufo-Addo was giving you credit in his 2018 SONA for transforming the economy, you were happy, applauding, smiling. Go and watch the video. Today, the economy is in a state of comatose. So you want Akufo-Addo to take all the blame for the mess when you have the direct responsibility for managing the economy. The finance minister is under you. He's a member of the EN.
Did I just hear you defend the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo?
No, but now Akufo-Addo is looking like a lonely old man. I'm just feeling pity for him. That this is the time that his vice president, who he entrusted with the management of the economy, has to stand by him and say, look, we take collective responsibility. We have failed. We could have done things better. We have failed. Now the vice president says, no. As for the credit, it is mine. But as for the blame, it is solely that of Akufo-Addo. Come on.
Well, we have been hearing tonight from the Bawumia camp. They have been fighting back. Now listen to Communication Director of the Bawumia campaign, Nana Komia, defend the Vice President, Mahamudu Bawumia.
The NDC are a pathetic political party. How they think that they can create a wedge between the Vice President and the President. It's funny. These are two very experienced politicians. How the NDC think they can create a wedge between them, I don't understand it.
They are using his own words to do that.
Like
Don't
what?
you think it's fair?
Like what?
Right. The point is that he's not trying to accept the challenges in the Akufo-Addo government, but wants to align himself with the achievements.
The Bawumia hasn't done that. You were there at the presentation. The first 1.5 hours of his speech was used to tout the achievements of the government. He talked about the economy. He talked about the economy pre-COVID and the achievements in that time. He talked about the economy post-COVID and admitted the difficulties we are in now, post-COVID. And he talked about the policies that have been done and the benefits that have started coming up. He spent 1.5 hours, and then he did a long narration of the achievement, notwithstanding the difficulties, of the achievements of the government. The first 1.5 hours. So how can anybody say he's running away from the government? In any case, what we are facing now are difficulties that have come largely from external shock.
So now the question is that why is it that he's not able to profile alternatives for the challenges now to be solved, but wants to be given the opportunity to solve that?
You and I know, I mean, we are not in the inner workings of government decision making, but at least those of us outside, we know that Dr. Bawumia has proffered some vision. He talked about, at your own outfit, he talked about how he was not in favor of taxing digital payments. He talked about it at your own multimedia there. Why this? Even before Bawumia became flag bearer, you see, and this is something that you have to take, even before he became flag bearer, then 10 people who competed for the NDC flag bearership. Did you hear the NDC talk about any of them? There are 10 of them. Did you hear the NDC talk about any of the 10, apart from Bawumia?
Why are they particular about him?
So that shows you that there's already a fear.
You think he's the nemesis or something?
Oh, absolutely. Otherwise, why would they be spending their resources out of 10? Why would you be spending your resources attacking and undermining one? Why would you do that? When you have a football team and all the defenders are attacking one person, then you know that he's a danger man.
Exactly. So what next? What should we expect? He has said the ball rolling.
What you should expect is that after all this propaganda dies down, the ideas will come up. These things, they are just, what do you call it? There's a term for it. Not very, red herring. That's what I was saying. These are all red herring. They will die off. And the core of the man's presentation, the vision, will come up. And we want the NDC to compete on the ideas. My message is that the NDC attempts to create a wedge between President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Bawumia by saying that Bawumia has deserted Akufo-Addo, Bawumia has ostracized Akufo-Addo, Bawumia has betrayed Akufo-Addo, Bawumia has taken himself out. They are all lies. Bawumia has never said anywhere that he's not part of the government. Indeed, you just have to look at his speech. The first 1.5, which is the peak listening period, was on the work of the government. It will not wash. The call will come out after the propaganda dies down, and it will be a contest of ideas. And in that contest, John Mahama cannot win.
So we've heard from the NDC. We've also heard from the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's camp. Let's now hear from senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Asa Asante, on this controversy. Well, just before we do that, let's bring in Dr. Amachi as well. He is a lecturer, a political science lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi, Dr. Kwesi Amachi Boateng. Doc, I'm sure you've followed all of this debate between Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's camp and the NDC. But first of all, what Dr. Bawumia did, does it occur to you as he running away from the president? We have Dr. Asante, grateful for joining us here. I hope you heard my question. I want to find out from you what your reading is of what Dr. Bawumia did. Did he, in his attempt to differentiate himself from the current president, betray him as his president?
Hello? Okay, he did make... Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Okay, Doc, I can hear you.
Good. Let me say that I appreciate you having me, and to also say good evening to your listeners. You know, on some occasions, he did use the term we, in a way bringing in the government and attaching himself to the government. But those had to do with the areas that went well, the issues relating to digitization and how he has used it in various aspects of our governance system. But then on other areas too, you know, he sought to come out as someone who is going to, if you like, do things different. But there's one thing that was completely missing: the current state of the economy. Because the picture he created by his contribution should be putting money into people's pocket, should not have sent Ghana to the IMF and the World Bank. So at the end of the day, his contribution has not affected Ghana's economy as significant as we expected. And over there, he didn't relate to it at all. Neither did he, you know, in any way attach himself to that, what we will call mess. They sought to blame everything on external shock. COVID-19, Russia, Ukraine. The irony is that Russia, Ukraine continue to feed the world in the areas of food. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia acknowledged that one of the challenges adding to the high cost of living is food. And I'm surprised he mentioned that, because Ghana should be doing better than Russia and Ukraine. So if Russia and Ukraine, in the midst of the conflict affecting the world significantly, are themselves the major producers of food, then it becomes an indictment on him and his government.
Interesting. Doc, stay with me. Let me bring in, your colleague, senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Asa Asante. Doc, so you also listened to Dr. Bawumia during that presentation. What's your own reading of what he did? Does it come across to you as someone who wants to betray his boss just to make a claim for himself?
Oh, no. Evans, let me say good evening to you and then your listener, as well as my colleague and friend, Dr. Amache.
Well, this is Kojo Brace here. Evans.
Oh, sorry, Kojo. I'm sorry, Kojo.
Today. Don't worry.
Yes. If you listen to Bawumia, what he said, there are a number of things you can glean from it. One is that is the last opportunity for him to redeem himself from all the things he has said about previous government, which are rearing their ugly heads in this government. So it's your last time to make bold statement about it, and then because people will continue to ask you, you talk about an improvement in the economy. Why are we where we are? You talk about the fact that you won't go to IMF. You are there. You talk about what? The ills of the economy and all that. We still have them. Another thing is that he wanted to do something about the advice. You remember that he said the economic management team is just an advisory body. He wanted to do something about the advice that they've given to the government. Government did not heed to it. I mean, you recall on your program, which Evans hosted, I said that, look, I was expecting him that when you give advice and it's not heeded to, all right, you vote with your feet. You leave the government. They say, no, that's not easy. But you realize that he was not happy, because if he was happy, he would not make that statement that, look, I will cancel e-levy. E-levy from day one, Dr. Bawumia didn't like it, and it came to pass. So obviously, if you get opportunity like this, you want to jettison it. Certain taxes they introduced, he described them as nuisance taxes, and he wanted to move the economy from taxation to production. These are things that are hanging as albatross around his neck. and he wanted to what? Do away with them. The third point is that he has come face to face with the reality of on the ground. That look, all the good things that he said and ideas that he threw out, and all which did not work, the reality is that we are where we are, and some places we are even worse. What do you say? You need to be bold and say some of these things to give you a certain breather. Another point worth noting is that he wanted to change the narrative. Remember, we are getting closer to election. And if this narrative continues to stay within the public sphere, I'm afraid it's going to be the building blocks for campaign. So it was a kind of a face-saving measure so as to set the ground properly for elections, so that when the campaign starts, they can get some respite when they are talking about some of the issues. This is what I can glean from the statement that he made.
And did he achieve all of that, all of those that he set out to? Did he come across to you as someone whom you can trust and trust the management of the economy to manage for you as a Ghanaian?
For trust, it's a difficult one for Ghanaians, because they have seen a situation where they promised them a lot of things, and you are seeing something to the contrary. People talk about the fact that the size of the government was too much for government to bear. They say resources what was important. Today he's proposing 50 ministers. What has he seen wrong with the 125, which the minister they moved to about 80 something, that he want to bring to 50? Is it the case that he has eaten a humble pie? All right. What is it that they have seen on nuisance taxes that they want to, even if he get the opportunity, and these laws, to quote him, certain laws remain in the book, such as the VAT, the emission tax remain in the book, he will clear them. It tells you that, look, public opinion is now weighing heavily on his mind and need to do something about it. In governance, public opinion is an important barometer to gauge the mood of voters and the citizenry at large. So if you want to shove it under the carpet, I'm afraid you have your fingers bent. The issue about what? People using cars, consuming fuel unnecessary, government officials and all that. He's talking about leasing of cars. Why is he going on that trajectory? He sees that, look, what people are talking about, there's a real sense in that. So there's a need to have a paradigm shift and the rest of them. So all these things put together are some of the things that Ghanaians will weigh and see whether they will still believe him or not. Remember, we are still waiting for the Sky Train, which never came. We are still waiting for the economy that should be moved away from Goggisberg to production. We are still where we are. Some of his colleagues, look at Kennedy Japan, he's saying that 1D, 1F, that the government touts about so much, he doesn't see. He has moved around the 275 constituencies. There's somebody from his party.
Okay, all right.
Now, look at the last point, let me make forcefully, is the issue of corruption. Look at all the things they've injected into the fight against corruption. Where are we where we are? 43%. 43, the score of 43, which we have maintained for about 3 years continuous. Remember, the closer you are to zero, the more corrupt your government is. The less than 50 score that you have, it means that there are corruption challenges. All these things are weighing heavily on the minds of Ghanaians, and that will inform their decision to either trust him or not.
Dr. Zante and Dr. Machi, stay with me, because we're also tonight following another major developing story. In the coming days, President Akufo-Addo is expected to announce a major shake-up in his government to reflect the vision of the party's flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Joy News is learning a meeting was held today at the Jubilee House to finalize the names expected to be reshuffled. There has been a wide clamor for a shake-up. Here's the General Secretary of the party, Justin Kodia, a few months ago.
My last question goes to the appointees of this government. If you're
a CEO, deputy, NMC, and you believe you can no longer work for government, resign and let others do the work if you are not included in the reshuffle.
So we are CEO, we are deputy, we are MMDC. Now say we reshuffle in the so now wow trust now Shenwa Bra Fredumano eto member party no.
It is time for a change, for others to continue the work. If new people come and work, we will have victory in 2024's election.
ekunimdi a yɛhwehwɛ 2024 yɛnsa bɛka.
But former Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu says any reshuffle signals a president who is bowing to the pressure from the party.
If Akufo-Addo ever reshuffles, then probably he's yielding to pressure from his party, because he himself have always said that he doesn't believe in reshuffle. But at least everywhere in the world, you add new impetus and new blood to government, and you make ministers too comfortable if you leave them at particular positions for a long period of time. I'm always for that. I mean, I'll tell you that I worked at the Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Communication. My finest hour in public service was my work at the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations. I'm writing my memoir. I'll share it with you. It's titled Shadow in Darkness. And one of the things I've captured in the memoir was a visit to Kolebu Mortuary, when a mortuary man looked at my face and said, at that time, poor conditions of service. So I went to the mortuary, and the mortuary man said, you Haruna, Ebola body I carry, AIDS body I carry, look at my pay.
Haruna Idrisu is former Minority Leader. Now, insiders indicated that the forthcoming reshuffle will be extensive, and it was tactfully postponed to accommodate the completion of the new Patriotic Party's presidential and parliamentary primaries. Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe joins me with more on this. Elton, tell us more about this meeting that was held today. Elton Brobe, if you can hear me, I want you to tell us more about this meeting that was held at the presidency today.
So, I mean, we can only quote some of the information we've taken from our sources, and the information is that there was a meeting this morning, sort of to frame up what has been in the public domain as, you know, the going course for a reshuffle of the president, ministers, and deputy ministers, and so forth. My information is that meeting ended before midday, around 11 a.m. There is firm consensus on this matter, and going forward, we are likely to have a statement from the president this weekend or Sunday announcing some changes in the administrative system of the government. And we have been told also that it will not affect ministers of state. It may also affect the leadership in parliament, and then some state-owned enterprises chief executive officers. Now, you may be aware that some individuals who are holding positions in government are also working closely with the vice president, who is also the MPP's flag bearer for the 2024 election. Now, we do know that the camp of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia will announce the campaign team this weekend or Monday. We are picking information that somebody like Gamboche, who is the substantive Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, is likely to be named as the campaign manager. The reshuffle, therefore, is likely to affect somebody like him. We are also picking information that the Foreign Affairs Minister, who declared her intention to contest the Secretary General of the Commonwealth Organization, may also give way to allow her to concentrate more on this particular role that wants to play in October 2024. And then also some people who serve as chief executive officers for some state enterprises also contested and won the parliamentary primaries. The assumption here is that they to concentrate on their parliamentary application and allow people who have full concentration to be in position. So these are the dynamics of play. And most likely, names, but they are all speculations.
Okay.
As to who will go in where, who is stepping down from government, and who is taking new rules.
Okay. It's our presidential correspondent there. Now let's go on to the lines now and speak to Dr. Kwame Asante for more on this. So, Doc, is it too late for the president to reshuffle his ministers? Dr. Asante?
Yes. Better late than never. One would have thought that he would have done this thing long time because the government has about 1 year to go. Remember, you need records to be able to stand on to campaign. You are changing now when people have made a lot of noise about the need to change some so as to bring in people who can really play the game with you for you to achieve results. Reshuffle there are a number of factors that influence that. One is to inject fresh energy into the system. There are certain ministries that people have said their performance are low. So if government on its own research, you realize that, look, this is the reality of the ground, you quickly will have to inject fresh energy into that place. Sometimes too, you want to make a paradigm shift. Look at where they were pre-IMF period. You realize that people had criticized them that, look, change course and make sure that you change some of the ministers to be able to support you in the effort that you are doing.
Okay.
So there was a need for paradigm shift. And now you realize that that's what you want to go. Now that the IMF is in and there are strict rules you need to obey, you need to change paradigm in order to be able to meet the conditionalities of the IMF. And of course, one of the things that is doing is to scale up the performance of the government so that you can also have something to stand on during campaign. The last bit of it is to also let it appear to public that you are yielding to the pressure from the public and that you are alive to public opinion. You are a listening government and the rest of them. So all these things put together are things that are weighing heavily on the minds of the president and you want to make changes.
I'm grateful. Let me turn to the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed. Thanks for joining us here. Why wait till now? Would a reshuffle be the right political move a few months to the election?
Thank you very much, Evans. As for reshuffle can happen at any point in time. However, the efficiency and effectiveness of the reshuffle is what is questionable. We at the party level, through the General Secretary, have made our point very clear. And we have called on the appropriate authorities to ensure that some level of reshuffle and changing of officials in terms of introduction of new blood is being injected into the governance system. We have not also stopped there. We went ahead to also indicate that there are people in government who perhaps are tired and cannot contribute effectively to the discharge of their duties. And when such persons realize that they can contribute much to the success of the government, they should voluntarily step aside so that the appointing authority can fix people in their positions so that they can help propel the good works of government and help the New Patriotic Party to put the good image of our party and policies before the people of Ghana.
You said that timing is questionable, right?
Yes, based on the analysis and the effectiveness of what they would be able to do. But for me, I believe that there has always been an injury time changes. That is why even in football teams, they change people even 1 minute or 3 minutes to the game, and those persons are able to make greater impact. And for me, I don't see that it is too late in the system, but we need to also check the effectiveness and efficiency.
And how much change can your injury time substitute bring to the game to ensure that you're able to achieve your goal of breaking the 8?
If the right structure, the right mindset, the right tool is used and triggered, and the person comes in to be able to put the teams together and ensure that people work to make sure that productivity is increased and work efficiency is enhanced, I believe it will be able to work very well for us. Remember, the game is mindset. Remember when we met at British Council, the biggest of all is the mindset. So if the mindset is able to work towards making sure that contributing good to the governance system, even 1 minute is enough to be able to change the entire governance system.
Thank you, Haruna Mohammed, for joining us. This has been the top story brought to you always by Vodafone Further Together. Up next is Kwekwa Sante with Ghana Connect.